more people join in. I'm also recording this, possibly gonna put on the YouTube channel as well as do a VOD. So you know the time some people cannot make it. Um, Another cool thing I'm gonna be showing to you guys. I translated all the answers to Portuguese for our Brazilian friends. Translated as well to Polish as well as Spanish. So if you're not, fluent in English, you can also follow. I'm gonna be sharing the material later on. So let's kick off then. Let's try to make this short. A lot to go through. So the first question was regarding if Eldrin is planning to give more information about creatures, armor loot. But the thing is, this question was made before the bestiary was even announced. And now we have the answer. The bestiary is in the game. So there's not much to cover on that. And okay, let's move to the next one. Question number 2. So if you had to play Medivia starting from level 1, what vocation would you choose and why? Well, let's see what Eldrin said. Eldrin said, I always played as an archer and paladin, so most likely that would be my choice. Strong, in my opinion, in both solo and with a party. High health pool to start hunting stronger monsters earlier compared to other vocations. Good in every stage of the game. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, he said it. So Eldrin's preference would be a paladin. Um, yeah, not sure. It is strong. It is like I just started an archer in Dynasty, and it's a cool vocation because you don't need party. You can do solo. So it's interesting that he also prefers that. Um, let's go now to question number 3. Why would Eldrin recommend playing Medivia? So out of many reasons, I'll pick the first 2. The first is longevity. Your time investment will not be lost. Medivia has been online for almost 14 years now. Holy shit, 14 years. So you can be sure your character will be there waiting for you even if you take a longer break. Secondly, Medivia is constantly developed. We're working hard to provide you as much content as features as possible. Well, very um, yeah, I mean, he said it 14 years. It's quite rare that any Tibia servers would be open for that, even though this is a completely different game than Tibia nowadays. But anyway, so pretty cool to see that longevity was selected. But yeah, no, seemed to be a pretty standard answer, let's say it this way. Not much there. Out of the ordinary. So let's go now to question number 4. And you guys can stop and do any comments or questions about it. Maybe he'll be able to see it. And he said he wouldn't be able to join because of the time, but unfortunately it was the only time I was available today. So if you guys want to post more questions here, maybe he can reach to that later and answer you guys. Okay, let's move on. So next question is, do you remember the first thing that you balanced on Medivia, and what was it? So he said the first thing I added and therefore balanced was Medivia's version of the Banshee quest, which I think it's called here the one below, which is a pretty sick quest. It takes a long time though to complete it. It was a good way to learn, as implementing the quests required use of almost all basic systems, for example, creating new monsters and NPCs, adding action events, for example, using levers, more events, for example, stepping on a tile to open a passage. Back then I was unfamiliar with those, as at first I only thought my job would be to create lore for quests, not actually implement them into the game. Pretty cool then. So it seems that Eldrin was first hired to help on the lore and the whole backstory of Medivia. However, it seems that he got involved with developing and doing all that stuff, um, which is pretty cool because nowadays he's the main developer, I believe, um, for all the new contents. So pretty cool that he started with the bench quest, the one below, which is a very cool quest to do, but shit takes a shit ton time. Um, and the rewards are not, nowadays they're not too worth anyway to do in any existing server. Maybe a new server, but even still, I don't think anyone has done it yet on Dynasty because it just takes too long. You can be farming something with those 4 hours that it takes the quest. Okay, so let's see the next one there. Um, Question to Eldrin was, what do you think before releasing any relevant patch? So he thinks about, will the players like it? Did I check everything? Did I forget about something? I often ask myself whether the community will like the change. Often features are discussed on the Discord with the community, but not everything can be spoiled, such as new content. Yeah, I mean, on this one, not sure how you guys think, but it's pretty brutal nowadays to please everyone. But the especially some of the new patches like the economy changes, people are always you know finding stuff to complain, and some of the complaints are actually correct, like and they normally revert because it was not a very well thought out or didn't have the impact they were thinking and impacted something else that they didn't predict. So it's good to see at least that they have some sort of checklist to deploy, so no gaming breaking bugs go into production, which is the live service anyway. So pretty cool on that regard. Oh, I see Lemon join. How you doing, my dear fellow Lemon? Good seeing you here. All right, let's check the next one there. Did you imagine seeing people so close to level 1,000 when you started Medivia? What do you think about that? So, knowing the game, I knew that sooner or later it would have happened. Compared to the other game servers, Medivia is a type of game where your progress would not be lost after a few months, and over time your character just becomes stronger and stronger. So all it takes is a determined player who can play a lot. Iron New, for example. Um, we just need to keep them interested in the game and provide content for the highest leveled players. Yeah, I mean, it's probably why one of the reasons is that this new content that they're gonna launch, it's mostly focused to level. I think it's, what was it again? Like 600 plus, maybe 500 plus. Can't recall, but it was something that I definitely won't reach anytime soon in the next couple of years, for sure. Let me just do a pause for water here. There's not going to be any ASMR of me drinking water anyway, so don't you worry about that. Alrighty, so let's move on to question number 4. Question number 4 was a shit ton long question, honestly, by Dulahan. He asks a lot of stuff, mostly about if there are any epic quests that are not unsolvable yet. He mentioned some quests about the past, for example, if there is any way of acquiring a golden helmet or a great shield today. So what Eldrin said about it, he said, I don't know much about epic quests of the past, as they were already completed or removed from the game when I joined. So I can't tell if any of those rare items existed and where they are. For sure they aren't obtainable at the moment. Implementing epic quests takes loads of time, and while I will want to implement some in the future, there are things with higher priority that have to be added to the game first. So it seems that it might be something they work on in the future, maybe something epic. I'm not sure. Do you guys know of any unsolvable quests that exist nowadays in the game? I, I'm not big into those quests anyway. Even some quests, that one that give that shield, I forgot the name now. That is a long ass quest. That you required some goldfish and some things. That one I haven't even done yet. I need to get more into the lore of the game because those quests are pretty cool. But it seems that they're going to be investing a bit more time after they implement some things, probably like markets, some PvP balancing changes that may be still to come. And maybe we get some epic unsolvable quests later on. Anyway, you guys can still hear me okay, right? I got a weird message here that saying that my stream has ended or something, but hopefully not. Well, Lemon's typing, so hopefully that's good. All right, can't hear. There's a few covert can't hear, but it seems that if Lemon's talking about it, can you guys hear me okay? All good, perfect. Thank you, Carlos. Cheers. Okay, nice. Yeah, so there's a few unreachable places around the map. Interesting, but do you believe, Lemon, are they unreachable by nature just because they are really unreachable, or no one has yet discovered a way to it? Because, I mean, we see it every time with Cipsoft. Um, they do that, unsolvable quests, like that tower, Sempertin Tower, I think. No, not Sempertin. Is it Sempertin Tower? I mean, like there's a tower at Desolated Lands with a hidden lever to get it to the islands, but nothing to open the door. Nothing that was found out yet. Anyway, interesting. Cool beans. Let's see what Kolod says there. There's a sealed door in Ashen. No one can enter. Hmm. Interesting. Might be the level 999 door that maybe Iron knew one day will conquer. We never know. Okay, the next one is, do you wear wigs? And surprisingly, he just answered with this video. Hopefully you guys can hear the audio. No sound of the video. Yeah, but you guys probably seen this video already. It's from the yeah, this sharing on Discord kind of sucks. Apologies for that, guys. But you guys will be able to see this through the VODs on YouTube for sure. Um, this guy's interviewing this other guy saying, "Do you wear wigs?" It's probably something famous that I had no idea about. But since I'm sure Eldrin probably likes Lord of the Rings, it's probably something from there. I'm guessing. I'm not a big Lord of the Rings guy. Probably it pissed off some people here in the chat anyway. Alright, let's go to the next one. Have you asked Ariant to hire an additional developer to help reduce your workload? And Eldrin said, except the developer who is no longer in our team. I think he's talking about Fresh, right? Um, that he didn't last long. Fresh was his name. We did plan to hire someone recommended by Arian's acquaintances about a year ago, but the projects they worked on were so different from Medivia. For example, they worked on a Pokemon or Naruto game, and they weren't too familiar and interested with this kind of fantasy setting. I think he's here talking about Medivia. It would take a while to adapt, but they also had some personal stuff to sort out first, so eventually it didn't work out. So, I mean, it seems um, they are trying to get more people to help out. Those things are not easy, taxes, and I think majority of the team is in Poland, with the exception of Shuna. I think he's Dutch, but I'm not sure if he's Dutch or he speaks Dutch, but he lives in Poland. Maybe Lemon, but I have no idea. I thought apart from Shuna and Tails, everyone else is Polish. So maybe they're looking for a Polish person to speed up, so they don't have that language barrier as well. But it seems that they are looking for people. It just didn't work out in the recent past. Let's see what Covert said here in the chat. I'm big convinced that doors are for coming new quests and factions. Oh, possibly. Okay, the existing doors, you mean? We're talking about things that are not done yet. Yeah, possibly, most likely. Good stuff. Alrighty, let's move to the next one then. Can we expect any future use for weak items with attributes, like sell them for more gold or remove the attribute to use another, or to another use, sorry. Eldrin says, I wouldn't want them to become additional cash in the game, meaning sell for more gold than the NPC price of the normal item. But I wouldn't mind giving them some use, like converting into some kind of currency that can be later used to temporarily buff your character items or used to exchange for no NPC value items. Pretty cool. I mean, this would be something actually pretty decent. We have a lot of low tier items that you normally drop, but you have to sell in the NPC anyway. Having a use for that, maybe you exchange for some sort of coin, and then with this coin you get a temporary buff, as he said. Seems to be a quite pretty nice feature. Let's see if that ever comes through fruition. I think this is still being thought out, but yep, some first-hand information for us here. All right, let's move on to question number 12. And as I said, guys, I know a bit more people joined here. If you guys would like some further clarification or would like to ask Eldrin more about any of the answers you're getting, please just leave a message here. I'll try to forward to him and hopefully he can get it answered as well. Alright, next question is, what is your work routine like? Is Medivia your main development job? He's saying yes, Medivia is my main job. Jesus, imagine if it wasn't. The guy works, I don't know, like he's 12 hours a day scripting the heck of that new patch and fixing bugs and everything. If it wasn't his main job, he's a very good, what's the name, when people can focus on two things at once? Parallel tasker, no idea. Anyway, so back to the answer. Routine varies from the type of stuff we're working, but I would say that designing, writing up ideas, thinking about them, and balancing in some text file takes most of the time, more than actually implementing in the game. Of course, I also monitor the score daily, handle the tickets and bug reports, check out new feedback, and some other things that require my attention. But the rest of the work on a certain days depends on the stage of development. Interesting. So it's cool that he mostly uses, seems to be a like a text file to think about his ideas, probably to write things down and think things through. Interesting. And he said that this actually takes more time than to actually implement. So the design phase takes more time than the build phase, which is pretty interesting. Cool beans. I like that answer. So let's go to the next question here. What was the hardest bug to resolve? He's saying he can't really think of any. Most, if not all, bugs are relatively easy to fix. It's discovering them that is the hardest. Usually things bug under certain conditions, but once reported, it's rarely hard to find and fix them. And he thought of something here. It was not hard, but just time consuming. Some changes to UI required a total rework of additional health and mana bars. I don't think that change ever went through, but the bars were reworked anyway, in a way that barely anything has changed for players, but bars were completely reworked. Interesting. So he's saying that it's not actually fixing the issue, it's discovering where it is in the code that is the hardest. Yeah, because imagine like this game has Tibia, like sort of like a Tibia structure, and I think it's all that .lua files everywhere. Each item I think it has a .lua file. I don't know. I never, but to actually have it mapped whenever you do a change. For example, he just recently deployed the faction tasks updates where it requires less monsters and more EXP. And I mean, he changes here, and there, but like the NPC conversation dialogue still shows the old number. The something something still shows the old number. So, I mean, because it's not like it's kind of like files everywhere, I think, spread across. It's not something pretty, like a new language, a programming language where you can just Control F and find everywhere where that variable is used. I think that makes things a bit more complicated. But anyway, pretty cool answer. By the way, talking about the health and mana bars, do you remember when they changed the mana bars? The health and mana bars like 2 years ago, they made it bigger so it doesn't look like Tibia. And then I think in the first day they deployed with the bar only being red without changing colors, like if your life is full it's green and then it's yellow and then it's red. I think it was always red, and Irion said that it wouldn't be possible to change to the old system color because of a impossible thing to fix, but then like 1 or 2 days later he came up with a solution and implemented the colors anyway. So pretty interesting that one day happened. I do remember that change, and it looked very odd at first, those new bars, but then now I can, like, when I look at old screenshots, it kind of looks weird the way it was, honestly. But anyway, moving on to the next question. What are the most critical bugs you have found on the live servers? He's saying that if a bug gets shipped out to live servers, they are mostly found and reported by players, so I don't recall any critical bugs on live servers that were found by me. Okay, he was very literal, Jesus, on this answer. I do not count any critical bugs on test server, but there were a couple of them reported by players that I recall, like not being able to die due to a rounding issue while wearing an attributed piece of equipment. What? That would be pretty cool. So your life went to like 1, and even though you took more damage, you wouldn't go further than that? That's pretty cool. Some issue with never-ending rings. Okay, that would be pretty cool if it was a ring of purity. An issue where you could buy something from one NPC and sell for a few more gold coins to the other NPC, and some others that I don't remember too well. Interesting. If you guys remember any sort of those big bugs, I'm sure Lemon knows tons of them, but if you guys know anything of those sorts that happened in the recent past, but got fixed, do share here. I'd like to read about, because normally I only found about the bugs when they're fixed, which is good because that means I wasn't one to explore, exploit I think it's called, and get banned by Tails. So Carlos said, last crash on Progeny, it was me. Oh, come on, you cannot just say that and not give more context. I do remember when I started playing, oh, there was a bug selling empty vials, and then the bug just literally took the server down. Or was it because of the amount of vials, something happens and then it was too much for the game to handle? That if you wanted to sell too many vials at the same time, it got lagged, then the server crashed. Holy shit. Interesting one. I do remember there was a spell. There's still a spell, by the way, to resurrect skeletons and turn them into undead skeletons. I think it's a druid spell. And I remember there was. I think you can turn any corpse into a skeleton, actually. And I remember one guy, he went to this huge tomb and he killed I think it was during fast respawn as well. He killed a lot of mobs and dragged their bodies to the AoE of the area of the spell. And I think when he did this spell, he created so many skeletons that the whole server lagged. I think that was Serenity, and he lagged for like 5 seconds until he computed every calculation to resurrect the mobs. And what's funny, oh shit, I'm already on the next answer. And what's funny about this is that they up, up, uploaded a patch, I think within the next or two server saves, that actually limited the amount of corpses that that spell can resurrect as a skeleton. So it's interesting that you think sometimes that some things that they deploy into the game cannot be like exploited or cause lags or bugs or the server to crash, but it's quite something. For example, that vial thing, it's pretty cool. Did not know about that. All right, let's move on to the next one. Unless you guys know how to speak Spanish. Okay. How do you see Medivia in 3 years? Oh, that's a big one. How do you see Medivia in 3 years in terms of content, number of players, and average level range? Okay. So he's saying that in terms of content, in 3 years, there will be most likely 2 or 3 major content updates. Okay, one per year. Seems fine. Including chaos updates and a lot of smaller patches. Alright. Over time, average level increases if we exclude players from New Game World, so probably average level range will increase by 100, 150 levels. Okay. So that means that high levels at the moment are level, what, 800? So maybe should we get a 900 in 3 years? What's the highest level nowadays anyway? Let me see here. High scores. I think it's not even Iron New anymore. He got passed by that other guy from, is it Progeny? I can't recall. Let's see. Yeah, Red Shot, right? Red Shot from Progeny. Yeah, exactly. He's level 824. Jesus. He's an archer. Wow. Wow. Okay, pretty cool. Interesting. All right. So that means that maybe in 3 years, I think you're definitely going to be 1,000 if he keeps that pace. Wow, pretty cool. Imagine the speed of a character level 824. Jesus. He can probably walk like from Ashen to Thoris in like 20 seconds. No idea. All right. Next question. What do you have in mind? What do you have in mind for new spells for druids and mages? Do you believe we could have more versatility in the current general gameplay instead of a pure SD simulator? Okay. Yes, I believe there could be and should be more ways to hunt other than what we currently have in the game, and this is something we will work in the future. Currently, I'm thinking of a hunting zone where one of the druids' spell would not only heal their party members, but also damage a specific monster. Oh, kind of like an undead. Interesting. I do want to try to add more ways to hunt, but they must also be fun and not a copy-paste of some existing attacks, but with a different element. Alright. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that every new mob, it's interesting. And that's a question. I find it interesting. Like, every monster from like old content, I'm not considering like Luana, Abukir, and all that crap. Like every low level monster, they normally don't have any spells or different AI or you know like animations or exactly. It does also remind me of healing undead monster for damage on Ragnarok. I actually play a lot of Ragnarok, man. I used to have a guild on Euro a couple years back during COVID times. But yeah, anyway, back to Medivia. Um, yeah, I mean, you see this old contents, right? Like everything up until level 200, apart from Luana monsters, they all just basic attack and have only physical and maybe like a elemental spell. But like all the mobs that they're deploying now into the game, even with like Luana with chimpanzees, with jaguars that jump at you, or with I don't know antlings and ants that have like a wave that holds you down. Like there is a different mechanic to it, which is I think it's pretty cool to keep the game a bit more dynamic. Um, so it seems that they're giving a lot of more thoughts when they're implementing those things into the game. Um, as he said, it's just not a copy paste, but with a different element. So that's actually pretty cool. Oh, so maybe that comes to the game soon. This healing undead kind of hunt. All right, let's go to the next question. We're halfway there, guys, so bear with me. Try to go a little bit faster so we don't go over the top of the hour. Okay, so what were and still are the main concerns for launching certain systems that the vast majority of players want so much? For example, the market, Char, Bazar, two-factor authentication. What are your expectations regarding the launch of these the launch of these systems? Do you believe this will attract a greater number of players and increase revenue? Interesting. So let's see what he says. When it comes to markets, the main concerns are to make the system as fail-proof as possible. The market needs limits so people with bad intentions can't find a way to cause any lags. The system needs to support a huge amount of auctions. There can be instances where items are duplicated due to other issues like server crashing due to fire, which has happened in Medivia before. Just before I continue, it's funny that most of the OT servers that are launched nowadays, they all have that same bug where people can have like 1,000 or 100,000 of the same item in their depot, and they can put a market offer, and then the whole server lags because of the quantity, the amount of items they're putting to sale. So it's kind of crazy the amount of bugs that those open Tibia servers have because they're all a copy of one another anyway. So I guess they're trying to make things different here, and that's maybe why it's taking so long. So now let's talk about the Char Bazar. So when it comes to Char Bazar, there are a few problems like chargebacks or missing quest items. I can tell. Okay, so that's all he says. Missing quest items. Okay, so for example, you buy a character and then it doesn't have like I don't know. Maybe I need to ask him to explore about that more. Maybe Andy knows and he's typing there. Hopefully you can help me here, Andy. Is it like that? Or Wiggy? Yeah, perfect. Wiggy fan actually, not Wiggy. Now about the chargebacks, that's actually pretty interesting because imagine like someone buys it like €1,000 fucking character and then charge back next month, and then the transaction has already gone through. Who's gonna pay for that? Because the player will want their money. So interesting. So Amulet of the Elements in Lightbringer is a big problem with sold bot characters. Oh, okay, so you're talking about those like one per faction, like the Ring of Purity, Amulet of the Elements. Okay, so it means that. Oh, okay, so you're not talking about this then. Yeah, I understand about the enhancing. Okay, all right. Well, okay, so maybe that's what he's talking about, missing quest items. So, I mean, you wouldn't have, for example, the guy stopped on the 10% and then he sold somehow the amulet, and then the guy wouldn't have that 10% amulet to continue the quest, I guess. Is that it? Okay, that makes sense. All right, interesting. So he would need to figure out a way of, yeah, of actually interesting. Mm. Well, I'm sure they'll figure it out. Make those items soul bound. But no, then I mean, no, that wouldn't be the best option, I think. Especially like Ring of Purity. Why would a knight want that crap? Maybe on high rate servers because they berserk everything anyway. But not on Legacy. I think the last time I used Incurso in Legacy, maybe 4 years back, with mana, not with Fury, because never used that anyway. Okay, let's continue what he says here. I had 3 purity rings. Yeah, you're definitely on a high rate server, right? No, it shows here in your legacy. No, that's a lie. You're not in legacy with 3. Oh, thank God. Okay, progeny. Good. Yeah, no, it's a different game for sure. Very, but cool. You probably can do a shit ton of XP hour with those 3 rings. And what's your magic level? Like, probably like 13, maybe 13, 12. Holy shit. Yeah, I'm like ML 8. Yeah, I cannot even use like a magic wall yet. Just so you see the difference. Okay, so let's continue here. Okay, so we stopped at the missing quest item. So I can't tell much about two-factor authentication as I don't think it is something I'll be working on, except for some UI changes. Okay, makes sense. I think Arion said that he's mostly going to work on that. I don't think markets will attract players, but in my opinion, will help keeping current and new players in the game. I mean, what's up with all the developers? Every developer I ask, like I think I asked Arion, I think I asked Eldrin now with this, and he answered maybe they don't think the markets will attract as many players as everyone else think. Hey Zard, yes, I'm doing a VOD. It's gonna be on YouTube, and I'm gonna be making the file also available for those that don't want to watch the video. Cheers. Okay. So yeah, they don't think. Oh, cheers, mate. Appreciate it. So they don't think that will attract many players, but in my opinion, will help keeping current and new players in the game. Okay. So it's more like a player retention, but not people won't start playing Medivia because of the market. What do you guys think about that? Do you guys disagree? Because I kind of disagree. I think there's a lot of people that want to give Medivia a chance, but they kind of stop because there's no market. At least that's what I hear anyway. I don't know of an actual person that actually went through this, or maybe people just say it so they do their own propaganda. But interesting. So they have this opinion anyway. And he's saying it is not easy to buy or sell items when you are a low level. Yeah, it is definitely not, especially on servers like Legacy and everything else. Char Bazar, on the other side, can attract new players, but also can give players the option to cash out. For example, they got tired of the game, they just put their character to sale because now it's easier, so they stop playing. But both of the features should only be beneficial to the game, which is why we plan to implement them both to the game, to FA2. Okay. This last part we already knew. Those 3 features are planned and being developed. But it's interesting that he says about the cash out. I mean, it's beneficial. A game like this where you put a lot of time, if you eventually get tired of the game, you should have the ability to just, try to get some money back and say hasta la vista, and maybe come back later, buy another character, restart from a fresh server. But like the fact that nowadays the only way is to sell your account through whatever means that are not even supported by staff because they do not make themselves responsible of everything. It's kind of weird, a bit shady as well. The fact that not shady, this action, but how you can go about selling an account today is a little shady because you need to go with someone that you normally don't trust. You gotta, do a PayPal. There might be a way of doing chargebacks. I have no idea. Maybe if you send the money as a gift or a friend, then you don't do chargebacks. But anyway, so it's kind of tricky. Thankfully, with Char Bazar, things are going to be a bit more legit, a bit more safe, and people that actually want to do this can benefit. So let's hope for that to be deployed soon. All right. Just check how things are going here. Going fine. Okay. I saw Carlos typing, but maybe he was just looking for a funny GIF. Okay. Let's go for the next question, 18. So, what are the medium and long-term plans to contain server inflation, especially high rates? Any gold sink systems in mind, such as forging, equipment refining, auction house market, trade fees? Okay. Um, oh, by the way, guys, this was answered before the inflation changes. I'm not sure if this actually sparked some conversations internally. Maybe it did because it actually came soon after he sent the answers to me. So interesting to see. So he said that we have been thinking of increasing house rent price, maybe increasing blessing price as well, based on level, but none of them will be as effective as an enchanting system. I think by enchanting he means like a forge. There will be fees in the market system that will also help with inflation. There are no other go there are no other gold sink systems in plans at the moment, but gold sinks are good for the longevity of the game and will be added in some shape or form in the future. So yeah, it seems that the closest to next thing would be this enchanting forge that they're thinking about to keep the inflation under control. All right, so question 19. I've always been curious if Medivia has any action to attract new players, campaigns, advertisements, or sponsorships. So here's something that Eldrin said. He said, until recently, we did have a Facebook Instagram ad campaign that we have turned off a few weeks ago. I think now maybe last month because this was sent to me a couple weeks back, as it was a waste of money. Holy shit, okay. Plain and simple waste of money. Facebook and Instagram ads. So he's saying that mostly the people trying out the game logged in for just a couple of hours or even minutes, increased the unique online count. Oh, I think that's that count on the website, the 7 days unique characters logged into the game or something, and hardly ever stayed for longer. We do plan to change it and continue the ads campaign once we make early game better and more intuitive so the players checking out the game will more likely continue to play. During launches, we also contact streamers to promote server launch and play during the launch, as world launches are always the best way to draw players in. Okay, interesting. Yeah, the early game nowadays kind of suck. It's quite hard. I mean, I mean, would you say to anyone that never touched Medivia before, "Oh, go ahead and start with a sorcerer"? Like, no one would ever say that. Like, they always say, "Yeah, if you're new to the game, go as a knight because it's more forgiving. You don't have to spend like money to buy runes. You can just bash monsters out." So I think this kind of like early game balancing could be beneficial, and also not only that, but to make the game um, more intuitive, maybe a better UI for the tutorial. Um, yeah, tooltips showing on the screen on where the player should click and how they should move. Those things are quite like janky nowadays. So hopefully they can get some development going on there to make the early game better. All right. So next question. I would also like to know if the help of players on Discord has resulted in more acceptance of changes compared to before, and how the staff reacts to our suggestions. I think here he's talking about the feedback session on the Discord. For those who don't know, before the feedbacks were on the forum and it was a bit junky. So nowadays it's on feedback and people can vote, talk about it, so it's a bit more dynamic. So let's see what he said there. So he says, it is good to have the opinion from a larger amount of players and not just the loudest ones. Bit of a dig there, but okay. So I hope to implement at least some kind of voting feedback to the game client where we could obtain feedback from more players or even a certain group of players. For example, just 200 plus level mages. Oh, I see, because if they make this in-game, they can actually limit for the people that, because on Discord you cannot track whoever owns the account with the character. People might create different accounts and spam an idea from multiple accounts just to, be a bit more loud. I'm sure someone has done that already anyway. Uh, okay, so interesting to see that they're looking to some kind of way of implementing the feedback system within the game. That would be cool. For this reason, more important changes are voted on the website and polls on Discord. Oh, okay, so for this reason, more important changes are voted on the website because polls on Discord are not binding. So even if some option wins, it may not be added. Okay. Um, Interesting. Discord is the easier to use than forums, so I would say thanks to Discord, there were more proposals and feedback of players which resulted in more changes. Some suggestions feedback simply do not fit the current state of the game, so they can just be rejected. Some feedback may require tests if it's even possible to implement before it can be marked as planned. Oh, okay. Some proposals require discussion with the rest of the team, so often your thread might not receive the attention from us for this reason. Okay. So he's saying that sometimes there is a delay because maybe they like the idea, but they can only mark as plans if they test it that is actually possible. And when he say that is actually possible, it's not that, of course, it's a game, it's you can code anything to be possible, but I think what he's saying is like the benefit outweighs the costs of deploying that feature because sometimes they need to rework the whole system of something and something, and it might not be worth for just some minor feedback from someone, even though it's a good idea. So interesting to see that perspective. I myself I haven't thought about that anyway. Um, so yeah, cool beans. Let's go next one. I just wanted to tell you to do something about the streamers. That's not much of a question, okay? Take them seriously. New players are all good for trade inflation and health of old servers. Okay, that wasn't much of a question, but let's see what Eldrin said. We do appreciate the help of streamers and try to help them in any way we can. It may be due to the state of the early game, the tutorial, but bringing new players is not effective when only a small amount of them keep playing. This is an issue that we have to resolve first before we focus on bringing new players. For example, new players have no idea the faction exists. Adding quest marks on the minimap and inform player about quests and factions will help new players to find their major goal on their journey. Yeah, interesting stuff. He's saying that it doesn't matter if they sink a lot of money in streamers. For example, we even have may I say, like the biggest TB streamer, at least he's Brazilian anyway. He's the biggest Brazilian TB streamer. And he streams Medivia every now and then, but like it's if the game is not attractive early game, it's not gonna help much anyway. Even though, however, Rubini, I think he brought a lot of people into the game, but I think they're trying to first before up that investment into the streamers to first focus on the early game. That's what I get from this answer anyway. So the quest marks on the minimap, this is something that they started with Falcon, and it's actually pretty nice. Um, a pretty nice milestone. If they were able to expand this to most quests and missions, that would be a cool feature to add into the game for early level content. All right. Let's see the next question there. Although Chaka is typing, but let's see what he says there first. It's a great time for me to grab a sip of water. Oh, the image is not changing? I think it does, man. Slide pass punição. No, I think that might be something on your end. You guys can see question 22 in the screen? Because that's what I'm streaming right now. Let me change to question 22 in Polish. Can you guys see question 22 in Polish? For me, it's working fine. Maybe drop and join Goat Boy does not exist anymore. Jeez, that's a long name. See now. Can you see stuff in Polish? Maybe. Okay. Well, I'll wait for you. Good stuff. Oh, perfect. Sim, says him. Diz ele. Lá ele. Okay. Moving on to the next one. Yeah, did I cover this one? Oh yeah, perfect. So at some point, did you thought about a new vocation or something different? For example, an additional slot, like an extra ring or something else? Huh. Interesting question. Let's see. These were just ideas, but we did think of some kind of summoner or necromancer vocation. That would be pretty cool. Which, as the name suggests, would fight with the help of summons undeads. But they were just ideas, and there was no actual work made towards implementing new vocations. First, currently existing vocations must be balanced and fun to play before we start thinking of implementing new vocations. So this also tells me here, this first currently existing vocation must be balanced. So I think staff, at least Eldrin, kind of knows that there's work to do in this department, balancing, making it fun to play. So, and that's what they want to focus before even thinking about a fifth vocation. Could you guys imagine like a fifth vocation in Medivia? And if you guys imagine, let me know what you think it could have been. Let me see. If I think about it, honestly, I kind of like a thief that would use like light weapons, attack faster, but be like backstabbing in the shadows. Um, two-handed. Sorry, not two-handed, but one weapon in each hand, like daggers, and then attack fast and penetrate armor, and like have a very low HP. That would be cool. So that's something I would think about. If you guys have any other ideas, shout them out to keep the discussion going. Yeah, a new melee class would be nice. Yeah, I also think so. Or maybe like a fist based, like a monk. You played Ragnarok, right, Carlos? So like a monk with agility and punching and doing some holy crap. That would be nice. But I can't see that in Medivia somehow. But the assassin dagger, I can see that in Medivia somehow. Um, all right, so let's move on to the next question. What is the most challenging game engine feature you guys had to add, considering overall OT Medivia base is built on Pawn mechanics and C++ engines? I work on a lot of things, but game engine, so C++ part, is not something I work on. You would need to ask Arians about this question. Okay. Um, okay. There you go. You got it there. How elite spawn bonus works in PT. For example, party of two. X person has 1100% and Y 0%. If X person less hits, then it's 1100%. Or perhaps is it X plus Y divided by 2? The former. Okay, so the first one. So it doesn't spread across even if only one person has the set. He's saying that the person wearing the set increasing elite creature spawn chance has to less hit the mob, which is not good and will be changed in the future to average bonus spawn chance in party. Okay, that's better. Yeah. So the way it is, he admitted it's not great and it's going to be changed. Huh. Interesting. Okay. Can we expect more server merges to tackle the small server populations and increase player interaction? Merges only happen when population of a game world drops to a very small number, and when this is possible, to merge, or there are no plans to launch a similar game world, like in the case of Odyssey. Okay, so because they were not thinking about adding a new game world for Odyssey, they decided to merge. So more mergers are possible, but it purely depends on the state of the game world. Okay. Yeah, interesting. And it's funny that they now just launched a new 2x loot server. So we'll see how that goes. It might have the same fate as Odyssey maybe one day, or maybe they change everything to 2x, or maybe they change everything to 3x, or maybe they just keep it as is and, Bob's your uncle. There's a big discussion about merging Progeny with Eternin at somewhere on the Discord. Yeah, I saw that. So if I check here Medivia things, Progeny has at the moment 38 people and Eternium 78. Yeah, okay. And they're quite similar, right? The Progeny and Eternium. Oh yeah, they're the exact same thing, but hosted one in the US and the other one is in Europe. Okay. Yeah. The problem is the server location. Yeah, I guess so. But for the people in Europe playing in Canada, I don't think it's much of a big deal. I think my ping in Canada is like, yeah, for EU, Ethereum is bad, but like if it was hosted in Canada, then it would be fine because I think my ping in Pendulum is like 60, and I'm in Europe, so yeah. I'm not sure about the other way around though. All right, let's move on to the next question. Will the non-pay to win server have hotkeys? While details are not set in stone since we plan to launch it in the winter this year, and we haven't discussed the details, this game worlds will most likely not have item hotkeys enabled. Okay, that makes a lot of sense because people are not only calling this non-pay to win, they're also calling this retro. So it wouldn't make sense, I guess. All right, so there was another question. When can we expect a new EU high rate or 2x EXP loot? Have the staff thought about a 2x EXP loot server? His answer was Dynasty. Very good. Um, question 29. We're almost there, guys. Just a couple more questions to go. Maybe a few. Was there any updates you pushed in that you regret? He says, even bad updates are something to learn from, so I don't regret pushing any of them. They give me an idea what not to do and what to change and improve. Okay. So he doesn't regret any of them. Okay. Interesting. That's a quick one. Have you and Arians ever met in person? No, we haven't ever met in person. Interesting. Because they're both in Poland. I know Poland is huge, but interesting. So they definitely work remotely, I guess. Okay. What's your background on MMORPG? Have you ever played Tibia or some other similar games? Oh, that's an interesting one. Just like probably most players, I did play Tibia long ago, and it was the first contact with MMORPG. I did also play Metin 2. What the fuck is Metin 2? Let me Google this. Metin 2? Jesus, no idea. Metin 2. Do you guys know anything about Metin 2? Anyway, might have been big in Poland. He did also play Metin 2 a long time ago and tried playing World of Warcraft about 4 years ago. Tried. Interesting. That did not keep me longer than one sub. Rather than playing, I do check out MMORPGs on YouTube and Twitch to maybe get some inspiration from. Okay, interesting. So Eldrin did play Tibia, and he was probably a paladin because he said he prefers archer. So interesting to know that. It would be funny if any of you guys that also played Tibia ever killed Eldrin as a, in-game without knowing that was Eldrin for some revenge. Cool beans. Okay, so almost there. I think we have 2 or 3 more questions. So in a scale of 0 to 10, how stressful is reading the Discord feedback players give to you? So he says, assuming you mean 0 to 10. Oh yeah, because this was actually 9 to 10, the guy said. So assuming 0 to 10, in general, it's not too stressful. Maybe 4 or 5. Okay. So it's interesting because sometimes I get stressed by reading feedback thinking that Eldrin will be extra stressed. Anyone else this happens to? Because sometimes the feedback's like you would think the guy would like lose it. Like what the fuck? But it seems he handles quite well. He said, but not the same can be said at patch days. Oh, okay. As that's when I can expect most complaints or bug reports compared to other days' channels. When we release a bigger patch, I would say it goes up to an 8. Okay, so it does get to him. Okay, a lot, apparently. At least the first hour. At least for the first hour after server save. Okay, it's more like the anticipation that people go crazy. Interesting. Yeah, okay, so it goes up to an 8. Fun thing. I mean, if it was me, definitely 10 because, Jesus, like everyone here works, I'm guessing. Imagine like the amount of criticism that he gets. Imagine you getting that in your day-to-day job. Like, it would be fucking stressful. I mean, I wouldn't enjoy a bit of it anyway. But I don't know, maybe, he grows into a better professional that can handle more pressure situations. Maybe one day he'll be the CEO of, whatever gaming company. All right, so next question. Any ETAs for Medivia coins as a digital... Oh, that was my question. So any ETAs for Medivia coins as a digital currency, account-wide multi-world balance? Would the launch of this feature be tied up with markets or Char Bazar?
This is something that was once discussed with the team, but there are currently no plans, ETA, or already decided details of such features. I cannot tell you if you would be tied to a release of any other feature. Most likely when you will be done, it will be released without delaying this or other features so they can be released together. Okay. Well, that didn't help much. But I mean, it says it's being discussed, but currently there are no plans. So not something being currently worked on, it seems. All right, so I think we have two more questions, this one and the last one. So, what is your opinion on in-game inflation? Is it too high, too low, or satisfying? Do you ever intend to add similar idea to my proposal of the Forge, where players can upgrade their EQ, where maximizing assets is close to impossible due to costs? Okay, so Eldrin says, there's no such thing as too much gold sink in the game. More gold sink is good for the longevity of the game. Unfortunately, I cannot tell you anything about systems similar to the one you mentioned, and there was currently no opportunity nor time to discuss, plan, come up with this or similar system. There are other things planned that have to be implemented first before we move on planning. So, okay. So I don't think he answered the satisfying too high too low, but I think because they just deployed the inflation balancing changes, their thinking is too high, so they're trying to counter that. But he couldn't give any detail about the forge or if it's even going to be a forge or So I think they're still planning on that piece. Okay, and now to the last question. What has been your favorite feature content to develop for Medivia? Probably the dungeon system. It was a mix of a game client and content features, large system that was interesting to implement. Generally, I like working on game client features more than content in the game. Oh, interesting. As usually it is something completely new and not just different version of something already in the game. But when it comes to content, I prefer working on boss fights for the similar reason. There is much more variety and creativity involved than when it comes to adding new quests or monsters. Yeah, now the recent boss fights, they're pretty nice. I mean, I could just watch VODs of people fighting like in Sheol and Falcon and stuff, but the dungeons and the boss fights, they're pretty nice. Kudos to the team there. I do wish though they had some sort of like randomness to it. At least like the dungeons I normally play, like let's talk about Mittenhof dungeon, Luana, and what's the other one? The guy, fuck, the necromancer. Um, Aphotis, yeah. So those, it's normally, there is a sequence of spells that they do, and it keeps being the same and the same. Like there is no like RNG to the spell that's gonna come next, so it makes it very predictable. So I do wish they had some sort of RNG to the boss fights in those low tier dungeons. So Carlos has said that end boss in Celebral Towers is so awesome. The switch from phase 1 to 2 looks. I think I saw some fights on the Celebral Tower, the mage there. It does look cool. But tell me, the Celebral Tower, is it also as well like once you've done like 2 or 3 times, does it keep being repetitive because it keep repeating the same cycle of spells, or does it change completely from fight to fight? I just now noticed that you guys probably cannot hear the music that I've been hearing the whole stream. All right, there are some random aspects, but it's not too hard. Okay, yeah, I see. Yeah, I think about the what's the name? The Aphotes, I think, is the most predictable. The Luana dungeon is also very predictable. The boss fights. So yeah, hopefully one day. I mean, the way I see is it's not always about creating new contents, but sometimes it's about maybe focusing one patch into improving existing content, doing some minor changes that might bring a lot of benefits and enjoyment and refresh things. And it's way less cost than actually developing something new from scratch. You just rework minor reworks here and there on old contents. So that's something. It's probably something they can think about. All right, I think that's it, folks. So thank you all for joining. Let me see if I have. Yeah, let me leave on this. So thank you guys for joining. Thank you guys for submitting the questions. Do let me know what you guys thought of this AMA. I was hoping that we got a few more people, but the time doesn't help much. But anyway, I'm gonna be posting this on my YouTube channel. So if you guys want to watch the VODs, I'm gonna be sharing the material as well, and I'll be catching you guys in the next one. So thank you for this AMA and all the presentation. I liked it a lot. Thanks, man. Appreciate it, Carlos. See you, Chaka, and I'll see you guys next one. Bye bye. Good night.